Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. Today I will talk about two topics, my two very important suggestions regarding how we should go ahead with the investigation of the origin of the CCP virus or COVID-19, and an old tactic the CCP used to bring down the previous government of China, the Kuomintang government, and why the US should watch out for this. And after the two topics, I also have a question to ask you, so please make sure you stay till that time to answer my questions. Before we move on, please make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell if you haven't. Someone told me that she has not received any notifications from my show in a long time, so maybe you need to save the link to my channel and come back to check it regularly if you are not getting notifications. You must have already noticed that recently a lot of so-called mainstream media, scientists, politicians, etc. all suddenly started to talk about how the CCP virus might come from the lab in Wuhan. The Biden administration just announced that it had ordered the US intelligence agencies to redouble efforts to reach a conclusion about the origin of the CCP virus and deliver a report in 90 days. The Senate also passed a resolution calling for a probe into the origins of the CCP virus yesterday, that's May 28th. I must boast about this again, that I was more than 1 year ahead all of them. I did a program early last May and raised the possibility that the CCP virus might come from the lab. I also did a lot of programs to expose the CCP's cover-ups of the pandemic and some hard and indirect evidence of the CCP's cover-ups, such as the CCP's internal documents and the first-hand account of a Wuhan resident. I started to compile evidence of the CCP's cover-ups as early as last April. Actually, the purpose for me to start this channel is to expose the CCP. If you haven't watched my 2-minute mission statement that I uploaded last April, please do go back and take a look. Well, I don't want to talk about why all this sudden change of attitude happened, because I don't want to comment on the US politics here. I will only share two of my suggestions about how the free world should go ahead with the investigation and how to hold the CCP accountable. I think they are very important. If you know somebody in the government, please do pass them on. First of all, don't expect the CCP to be cooperative in this matter. It has been so long since the virus started to spread, and the CCP was given enough time to destroy all the evidence they could think of. I talk about how the CCP ordered to have the relevant documents and data that are related to the pandemic to be destroyed before, even including medical records of the patients. Then, what can we do? I think there still must be someone who knows something about it, and there could still be some evidence that the CCP hasn't been able to destroy. There could even be people who managed to hide some evidence. So, just like sometimes the FBI and the police will give heavy rewards to people who provide useful information leading to the arrest of some wanted criminals, the US government or other governments who also want to find out the truth about the virus can also spread the message that people who provide valid information will be protected and heavily rewarded. Safe channels should be provided to ensure that whoever wants to do so will be safe, his or her entire family should be allowed to migrate to the US first, etc. Make this information widely known to Chinese people so that people who have the knowledge or the evidence can be encouraged and given enough incentive to come forward, either publicly or secretly. Secondly, the investigation can focus on the CCP's cover-up of the pandemic first. There is tons of evidence about this, and the CCP can hardly destroy them all, as some facts are already widely known, such as it once arrested 8 doctors who tried to warn people about the virus. It locked down Wuhan in January last year, while allowing Chinese people to travel to the entire world to spread the virus, etc. Also, according to international health regulations, members of the World Health Organization (WHO) should notify the organization within 24 hours about events that may constitute a public health emergency of international concern. The CCP knew very well the nature of the virus, including that it is human to human. But it not only suppressed the information itself, but also forced the WHO to suppress it until it could no longer be suppressed, until the virus had already spread to the entire world, until it became impossible to contain it anymore. Even if we can't found out direct evidence of the CCP's either intentional or accidental release of the virus from the lab, the cover-up alone is enough for the world to hold the CCP accountable. Every country, every victim can seek damage from the CCP. Governments can choose to freeze the CCP's assets, etc. I think everyone in the world is a victim of the virus. As the pandemic has changed everyone's life, we no longer have the freedom we enjoyed before. Plus, we have lost more than 3 million lives already. Also, let me tell you that the CCP feels the investigation very, very much. After the US announced it would start the investigation, Hu Xijin, the chief editor of the Global Times, which is one of the CCP's main mouthpieces, immediately posted on his Chinese social media platform Weibo to attack the investigation. 2 hours later, he sent another post which says, given the intensifying US strategic containment of China, I would like to remind once again that we have many urgent tasks, but one of the most important is to keep rapidly increasing the number of nuclear warheads and strategic missiles like the Dongfeng 41 with extremely long-range and high survival capabilities. This is the cornerstone of China's strategic resilience against the United States. We must be prepared for a high-intensity showdown between the US and China, at which point a large number of Dongfeng 41 and Julang 2 and Julang 3 will be the backbone of our strategic will. Our nuclear missiles must be so numerous that the US elite will tremble at the thought of military confrontation with China at any time. He went on to say that only by being prepared like this can we force the US to stay rational with our strength. We need to let them realize that what they will face are risks that they cannot afford to bear, etc. So you see, this is a sheer nuclear threat or blackmail. Why did Hu Xijin suddenly renew his nuclear threat? Because the CCP really feels the investigation very, very much. I'd say this is what the CCP feels most right now. I only hope the investigation will be real, not just a formality. Well, these are my suggestions. Again, please pass them on to decision makers, lawmakers, government officials, if you know any, and tell them that I am a reliable source of information and analysis about China and the CCP. Ask them to subscribe to my channel and follow me on social media platforms. Next, let's move to our next topic today, the counterfeit money from China, and is the CCP using its old tactics to bring down the US? A large amounts of counterfeit money keep finding its way into the United States. A Chinese commentator reminds the US of a tactic that the CCP used to overturn the Kuomintang government in the 1940s. First of all, let's go over a few recent cases. On May 18th, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection (CBP) announced that it had again intercepted several shipments of counterfeit bills from China totaling $685,000. On April 23rd, CBP officials in Chicago announced that they had seized 281 shipments containing counterfeit bills and coins, and 95% of them came directly from China. On April 6, Chicago CBP officials announced that they had seized more than 100 shipments of counterfeit currency, almost all from China, with a total value of more than $1.64 million. In October last year, Chicago Customs announced it had seized more than $10.6 million in counterfeit currency between October 2019 and September 2020. Out of the 660 shipments seized, 280, or about 78%, came from China. In June 2020, the CBP intercepted a shipment of $100 bills from Shanghai that totaled $351,500. In May 2020, 250,000 and 300 of counterfeit currency was seized in Cincinnati. The shipment was from Shenzhen, China. According to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, China is the top country for smuggling counterfeit goods into the U.S. market. CBP made 27,599 counterfeit seizures in the fiscal year 2019. These goods would have had an estimated retail price of more than $1.5 billion if they were genuine. Among the seizures in 2019, about 48% originated from China, followed by Hong Kong at 35%. Well, we must say that these are only what the CBP was able to find and intercept. How many others that the CBP hasn't found and have already been circulating in the US? We have no idea at all. Tony Chai, a TV host in Hong Kong, said during his show on May 20th that the CCP is likely using the same tactic it used 75 years ago against the Kuomintang government, the legitimate government of China at that time, to also bring down the United States. Chai said, if these counterfeit bills continue to be imported, they may bring down the U.S. economy. Chai believes that because we are in an electronic era, the impact of counterfeit bills on the U.S. will not be too great, but the CCP will use the fake money for criminal activities and illegal transactions, including drugs and arms. In the 1940s, during China's civil war between the CCP and the Kuomintang-led government, the Communist Party obtained large quantities of counterfeit currency from the former Soviet Union and then sent it to the areas still ruled by Kuomintang using various underground channels. As a result, there was a serious surplus of money in the Kuomintang-ruled regions, and the prices of all sorts of goods skyrocketed. To tackle the problem in 1948, the Kuomintang government decided to issue a new currency, the Chinese gold yuan, to replace the previous Fabi currency. However, this move paralyzed the flow of goods, prices continued to soar, and the gold yuan depreciated sharply. This eventually resulted in an economic collapse. Only 14 months later, the Kuomintang was driven out of China, and the CCP took power and established the People's Republic of China. An article published in the Weekend magazine, whose publisher is the party branch of the CCP in Shandong province, also talked about the CCP transporting large amounts of gold yuan to the Kuomintang-ruled areas after the CCP confiscated the gold yuan in the regions that the CCP took from the Kuomintang. They say the CCP confiscated the gold yuan because they of course couldn't admit that they had printed fake money. However, they did boast about the fact that they brought down the Kuomintang by this tactic. The article said the purpose for doing so was, and I quote, to hasten the complete collapse of the Kuomintang reactionary regime in Nanjing, unquote. Tony Tai said the CCP is likely doing what it had done before and is using the same tactics it used against the Kuomintang 75 years ago to bring down the US. Okay, that's all for my topic today. Finally, I have a question to ask you guys. Last time during my live streaming, someone left a comment saying that he hopes that I can take some questions. Actually, I was thinking about this myself. The reason why I haven't done so is that I'm concerned if I take questions, the video will become too long, and for people who choose to watch the show after my live streaming, they may be disencouraged to watch the show. They may think, oh, this video is 30 minutes, 40 minutes, too long for me to watch. I was told that videos should be within 20 minutes. As that is the maximum amount of time that people want to give to a video of this kind that I'm doing. So that's the main reason why I haven't done Q&A yet. So today I want to ask your opinion as to what you think about this. Please leave a comment and let me know what you think. Or maybe I can connect questions and then do a special Q&A session once for a while. Anyway, let me know what you think. Okay, that's all for today's Inconvenient Truths. Thank you very much for watching and leaving comments. Please don't forget to come back to check my channel regularly, and YouTube may not be sending you notifications even if you have subscribed. Thank you. See you soon.